You're listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by NACS. We'll talk about what we see at stores and what the future may hold for our industry.
Welcome, everyone, to Convenience Matters. My name is Chris Blasinsky with NACS.
And I'm Jeff Lenard with NACS.
And I'm Al Hebert, the Gas Station Gourmet.
And Al is such a
jump right in
guest.
there, Al.
I am sorry. I work in TV. I just jump in. I apologize. Should I have not jumped in?
It's all good. Al, Big Al,
Yes.
one of our favorite people. You know that. You write for NACS Magazine. We've known you for quite some time. And if there's anything you know that we are going to lean on you for, it's the road trip.
And I love NACS Magazine. It's the only magazine that I read, and I suggest that that's the only magazine anybody in the C-store business reads. It's great.
All right, I'll take that. So, Al, tips and tricks of the road trip. And the reason why we're talking about that right now is because we're in the midst of our summer drive period for convenience stores, which is when people are hitting the road, people are out and about, stopping off at their favorite C-store, finding what they need, whether it's to refuel or to refresh or to, use the facilities. Yeah. So you've been on a ton.
I have. And when I saw this, I thought, okay, well, I hope I'm going in the right direction here. So like for road trips, like I think there's some simple things that if you're a traveler, you should have and like scissors. If you don't have a pair of scissors in your car, and I mean big scissors, you need these things more often than you not. How often do you need scissors and you don't have them? Have scissors.
Well, let the record reflect that while this is a podcast, Al also brought his props. So he is waving around a pair of scissors. I do.
And I'm going to try to be as descriptive, just like old time radio, to describe these things. But yes, I do work best with props, Jeff. I love props.
Are we going to be calling you MacGyver by the end of this?
Look, I'm going to show you something that's going to blow you away. So you may be calling me MacGyver. I'm going to show you something that's going to save your upholstery, save your trip if you have kids.
Better be duct tape.
One of the smartest things I've ever. This is going to be better than duct tape. So comfort on a road trip. If you're between C-stores on a highway, one of the things I noticed when we would take trips with the children, we had so many pillows, car pillows, hotel pillows, and so.
Wait,
I have here.
Hotel pillows supposed to stay at the hotel?
Right. But so this is like for the car. I have a pool noodle, and a pool noodle costs you around 92 cents at your local store. And what I do with the pool noodle is I take my scissors and I cut the pool noodle to about the size of a pillowcase, and then you put it inside of a pillowcase, and then you put the pillowcase behind your neck when you're traveling. And boom, everybody has a pillow. Kids aren't screaming. Your spouse isn't screaming. 92 cents buys you a lot of peace on a trip.
Good neck support.
It is great neck support. I love this. And it's better than those expensive $10 travel pillows. The other thing, now I found this in a C-store when Frank Beard and I took a trip to the NACS Show. And so I go in this C-store and it's early in the morning and they had biscuits and gravy, which I'm just insane for. If I cut myself now, I would bleed gravy and hopefully some biscuit. And so I'm wondering, it's the beginning of the day, and I was talking to the clerk, and I said, "Gosh, I hope I don't spill, because eating in a car can be dangerous." And she said, "Hey, you need a bib." And what did she do? She got a bag. Now, what does this look like? It looks like a bib. Now, this is just your regular bag. You see these every place you shop. It's got the two little handles. It's the plastic bag you get when you check yourself out. And look at this.
There you go.
Boom.
It costs you 5 cents in some areas.
It works with children. It works with adults. I spilled no gravy on me. So
what do you hang the bag on? Do you hang it on your ears?
Well, what I do is I tuck it into my collar, and with children, you can tie it. Or you can do this, take your scissors, cut it, and make it a little bit wider. Scissors. You got to have scissors. So the other thing I wanted to show you, this is like one of my favorite preps for a trip, is, sometimes kids will throw up in a car. And so...
And dogs.
Dogs. This one, I don't know if you could train a dog to do this. This is an embroidery hoop. So I've got this embroidery hoop, which you can get at any craft store, and you simply take the embroidery hoop and you put the plastic bag in it like this, and it's a barf bag.
That. It's like a throw-up catcher.
It is, and unlike the store-bought ones, of course, this is a DIY barf bag. This is about 8 inches, huge target, which children need. And so these are just little things I prepare when I go on a road trip. Have the barf bag everywhere, but I got to tell you, scissors and a pool noodle will make your trip beautiful. And the cool thing about it is one of the things I love about C-stores is that, the people behind the counter can be so helpful. And, if you just, I'm really good at acting dumb. I'm not so sure I'm acting at times. And, they are so wonderful about offering advice. A million times we've bagged groceries and I've seen these bags, never thought about making a bib out of them. So those bags that you get at any grocery store will make an excellent bib, make an excellent DIY barf bag. You save your upholstery, you save your carpet, save your trip. It's wonderful. So that's how I prepare for road trips.
There you go.
So we're spending the whole month of May talking about road trips.
Yay.
And we did surveys a couple of years ago. We asked, what's your worst memories and things like that. And it turns out people's memories are actually pretty good about the road trips. They forgot about the barfing and all the screaming and shouting and all that stuff. Why are road trips such a thing that there's movies, that there's all kinds of remembrances that are positive about them? Why is that, Al?
Jeff, we are a car culture. Think about it. Americans love cars. We love big cars, small cars, sporty cars, fast cars, slow cars. We just love cars. And at one time before everybody in America flew, when you went somewhere, you put the family in the car and you went on a trip. And everybody's in the car and people were singing songs, and it's part of what people of my generation grew up with, and I think that somehow that's in our DNA, Jeff. I believe that our love of cars, our love of highways is just part of that. And of course, we, when it became more affordable to fly and more people were flying, I think we sort of lost the adventure of a road trip. And I think people are getting back there. I think the pandemic had everybody inside. And maybe we still don't want to hop on a plane with a bunch of strangers. But I think, getting back to the road trip, getting back to that adventure is something that really appeals to Americans. And I think that's why it's popular and it's coming back now. I mean, I get calls all the time about road trips. I just think that's part of the American DNA is hopping in the car and going somewhere.
So what separates... When somebody travels over, say, Thanksgiving or something like that, goes over the hill and through the woods to grandmother's house, that's not considered a road trip because that's just a straight drive. What are the elements of a road trip? Do you have to have a certain number of trips, or what's in your mind?
Well,
multi-day?
I think it's a multi-day trip. I think that, of course, our in-laws lived 8 hours away. So every time we went there, it was a road trip, and so if you live far away, that's a road trip. But, you can take a simple 50-mile drive, hit the back roads and turn that into an adventure. Gas is not cheap. And so maybe people don't feel like taking the big trips. But I like to hit the back roads. You find such amazing things like, I'm on this wacky morning show and we were covering a flood and we were on this back road and I found this C-store in the middle of nowhere. I promise you, as far as the eye could see, there was nothing, and there's a C-store. So I tell my folks, we got to go in this place. And we go in and I discovered fried pigtails. I'd never seen those before. And fried pigtails are delicious. It's crazy. And this genius thought of frying them and selling them for under $2. They're delicious. So, when you're on this road trip, the key is you got to stop in these really quirky places. And a lot of times someone in the car is going to go, I don't want to go in there. And that's just the place you want to go in because you're going to find treasures there. You're going to find culinary treasures, great food, but you're going to find wonderful personalities. I love everybody I run into in C-stores, everybody. And I often joke that each month when I do my NACS story, I have a crush on a store, and I love these people. I get so involved with them, and I talk to them. I know about their families and things like that. So I think if it's a long road trip, you got to stop everywhere. If you have a chance to get off the interstate and hit those back roads, you're going to find quirky things out there. And even if it's a 50-mile road trip, get off the main roads, go in the back, and you're going to find neat things. It might be kind of strange to some people, but you're going to make memories. And I think that's part of what a road trip's all about, is making those memories. Great food, great people, quirky people.
So speaking of great food, Al, you've certainly tried most everything. Is there anything, have we stumped you yet? Is there anything where you were just like, absolutely not?
Well, yes. I was at a small C store in Texas, and there was this Mexican word, or a Spanish word that I didn't understand. And the guy said, well, that's the most tender part of the cow. And I said, well, what is that? He said, I'm going to let you try it. I should have known it was a mistake. And he served this in a little cup, and it looked like roast beef. And it had the texture of pudding. It was indeed the most tender part of the cow. And he explained that it was cow cheek. And I had never had that before. Didn't even know it was something you could eat. And it was like meat pudding. It was the most intense meat flavor I've ever tasted. It was like pudding. And when I left, this is weird. This is in my head. My cheeks began to hurt. And so my wife works in a hospital. I called her and I said, hey, my cheeks hurt. And she said, that's all in your head. Cow cheek doesn't make your cheeks hurt. But I swear to God, for the next 6 hours, my cheeks hurt. So that was one of those things. I don't think I'm going to do that again. I'm on the fence about tongue. I don't know if you guys have that up there. If it's done right, it's okay. But, I'm finding a lot of rabbit in C stores down here, rabbit and gravy. I don't know if you're finding that up there, but I go to these little tiny stores, and rabbit has become very popular in C stores down here. But I like rabbit. It's a lot like chicken. I think I would cook chicken instead, but so those are things. Cow cheek,
like chicken.
It does taste like chicken. I love rabbit.
So there's different kinds of ways people travel. Some people love to just like, okay, it's 600 miles. We're going to get there and we're not going to stop. And if you have to go, too bad. And then it sounds like there's other people like you, Al, which are much more, hey, we can do this. So first off, I want to know how your wife manages with you saying, we got to stop there. And it's like, we stopped a mile ago. But do you, like in the olden days, you had an SO map or a Texaco map, and you pulled out that map and you looked where you want to go. And then it was MapQuest. And Chris and I were actually in the car with somebody years ago who would literally print out MapQuest pages. And about every 30 seconds, he would turn his notebook to the next page because he had 300 pages of MapQuest printed.
Wow.
And of course, now it's iPhones and all that. But what level of research do you do when you hit the road, or do you let the road just come to you?
I like to let the road come to me. So the deal I have with my wife is, I'm kind of dysfunctional. I don't know how to have fun. And so I always need to be working. I always need to have a purpose. I always need to be, if like I'm at, when I was younger, if I'm at a social gathering, I needed to be the bartender, And so the deal my wife, when our kids were younger, she would say, look, you want to go on vacation, and we can stop in every gas station you want to stop in. Well, now, boom, I'm working, I'm having fun. And we would. And, the challenge sometimes is finding them if you're on an interstate. But like I said, once you get off, you find the most amazing things. So I just kind of let the road take me. And I think that's the fun of the adventure. If you've got a timeline and you've got to be someplace by Christmas Day or for some event, that's a little bit different. But I think when you have the luxury of going somewhere to stop, like there's a couple of places that are about, 60 miles from here that I like to explore, but I'll always take the back roads, because in that 60 miles, I'll find some quirky little store with someone behind the counter who's done something really unique with food. And those places, those are the treasures, I think, for road trip food.
Yeah, Chris, didn't we stop at one store, and this is when our chairman had a road trip, and we went across the country, and this one clerk signed his name as Night Stalker. We didn't ask him why.
Yeah.
We didn't ask him why, but we just okay, that's enough. We can leave now.
Nice.
Yeah, we had a chairman, Richard Onslager, when he was our chairman. He had this brilliant idea that we were going to rent an RV and travel from across the country. Yeah, LA to Chicago, which was, LA, the starting point in Chicago, the end point being where the NACS Show was being held that year.
Nice.
And we hit, I think gas prices were
a record high.
They were at the record high because it was shortly after, some bad weather. But it was quite the adventure, and we stopped at some interesting places.
3,000 miles.
There's so many cool things in gas stations. I found Hitler's limo in a gas station, which I talk about all the time because that was such a wonderful
we talked about that
find.
in the last podcast.
And then, the psychic goat, things like that. I found chicken on a stick, which I thought was kind of brilliant not long ago. And I love anything on a stick because I think I like convenience store food, but when food is convenient, that just takes it to another level.
Yeah, we stopped at a place that was supposedly had a 6-legged cow, but at our count, all of them had 4.
Wow.
So I don't know where that came from. And the largest prairie dog, the biggest ball of yarn, a round barn somewhere. I think we were in Oklahoma.
Yeah, it was right outside of Oklahoma City. And the idea was that tornadoes would only strike square things and it would just bounce off a round barn.
Like it would spin around it or something.
And then we asked them, we said, so is it true? And they said, well, the barn's still here. So I guess it was like, well, it might be more complicated than that, but it must work.
It must. There's great things that I remember from road trips when I was a kid. Like there was a snake farm. And I always wanted to stop at the snake farm. And my parents would never stop at the snake farm. And I still remember that, And I think, there's just so many cool memories that children have of road trips that you're not going to have on a plane. And, the cow, the round barn, all that, kids are going to remember that stuff.
So
they are. And I think you made a good point there. So parents, if you're listening, if you're in a big hurry and you have small kids, let them have the adventure.
Absolutely.
You will get there.
Let them go to the snake farm.
You will get there.
Yeah.
And just a penny candy or some kind of souvenir. I don't think they sell postcards anymore. But,
no, I don't think so. One of the things I'm seeing.
Magnets. I get magnets.
Oh, I love magnets. I'm seeing a resurgence in what they call vintage candy. Are you seeing that? Like the candy, like, we had when I was a
candy.
Yeah. That's always kind of fun stuff. Let them eat that and then take them to the dentist.
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about going inside the stores and having that creativity and the interest and all that. But how do stores know, or how do stores communicate that, hey, you got to stop here? What can they do to get Al's attention, or is Al always going to stop?
Well, of course, I live my life in C-stores, so I'm always going to stop. But, I think, Chrissy, Jeff, I'm still always a little sad when I see that stores are not using social media the way they should. And, I think if you're going to get people to come in, you really have to work social media. And I think a cool thing to do is if someone comes in your store and has a great experience, shoot a video with them. What did you love? Shoot a still picture with them if that works better, and stick it on TikTok, stick it on Facebook. Look at what Anthony Perini does with his videos. I mean, my God, though he's like genius with that. He's always thinking of something. And so I think social media, we live and die by social media. And, so I think C-stores, the small individually owned C-stores are the ones I'm talking about. Those are the ones I go to. And I find those are the ones who I'll look at at a Facebook page and go, they hadn't posted in 6 months. And we kind of live in a culture where we think, wow, they hadn't posted in 6 months or a year. I wonder if they're still open. We think that. And so I think social media is such a key. I'm a fan of billboards. That's what got me to Hitler's limo was this long line of billboards that, enticed me to stop in this gas station in Dragoon, Arizona. And I think billboards, if you can afford them, work. Because, I'm sure you guys run into this. I'm in places so often, and I'll talk about, the gas station gourmet, and people say, I will never eat in a gas station. And I think they're just missing amazing experiences with food, because some of the best cooks in America are cooking in gas stations. They're not in white linen restaurants. And so often you'll find white linen quality food in a gas station. And, that's just the best.
Yeah, agree.
Social media. You got to use social media. And look, if you own a C-store and you go, I don't have time for social media, there's got to be a 16-year-old kid out there who will do it for you.
Yep.
Ask the kids. They'll do it for you. That's so key. Well worth the investment. I'll tell you what, I interviewed a guy, I think it was last month's story, who uses social media religiously. And he says social media brings in an extra $1,000 a month to his store, which is, a lot of money,
Yeah.
So definitely use it, because it'll get you the business.
Yeah, and I think what you said about billboards, I think Buc-ee's does that incredibly well.
My God.
Where you need at least 3 billboards. You need the first one just kind of like did I just see? And then the next 2 kind of at least close the sale, but Buc-ee's may have 10.
Yes.
South of the border, if anybody's on the East Coast, if you don't pass 100 of those driving down 95. But it is a way to get attention and just
absolutely
kind of point out what you're famous for. Is it the chicken? Is it the bathrooms? Is it something else? Whatever it is, that's the best way to tell your story if you're on the highway.
Absolutely.
If you're in a back road, maybe not, but that's just going to be something interesting outside, I assume. And
clever billboards. I always tell people, spend the money to get somebody who understands how to message, to get your message on a billboard, because I've seen billboards with so much text. I'm gonna wreck the van if I read all of it. So something pithy and something clever. That's what you want.
So Al, before we let you go, we're going to play trivia.
Okay, tell me.
You've done this before.
I know. I hope I'm good at this.
Our first repeat guest for trivia.
I'm so excited.
Okay, here it is. Against people's warnings, NACS was the first food association to hold a convention in which city? Las Vegas, New Orleans, Chicago, or Atlanta?
New Orleans.
Las Vegas.
No! Whoa!
In 1966, NACS was warned that the city was not suitable for families.
Wow.
Overall, NACS has since held 15 meetings there, including this year. And yes, the tie-in is the NACS Show registration is now officially open. NACSShow.com.
Mm-hmm.
Al, we'll probably see you there. We will be there.
I hope so. I love the NACS Show.
We'll
I think Jeff is making these trivia questions too hard because nobody's getting them right. Jeff, you're fired.
Las Vegas was full of scary anti-family people, and they warned us against it, and that's the place everybody wants to go now.
I tell you,
we're trendsetters.
I think it's so important if you own a C-store, especially if you're listening and you own a small C-store. I think the NACS Show is so critical for you to attend. You got to carve out the time. You're going to get great ideas. You're going to meet a lot of people, and I think sometimes it's so hard for these individual owners to get away. But the NACS Show, NACS is just such a great resource for store owners. Not just because you're here and not just because I'm on your podcast, but there's just so much great information that can really help your business and increase your volume and your traffic. And, I love the NACS Show.
Yeah. And a lot of great food to be had on that expo floor.
Absolutely.
And I don't think we've ever closed out a podcast with the next sentence. Before you go to the hospital, and you can explain why you might be, before you go there, where can we learn more about Al and Gas Station Gourmet?
Well, we have a website, gasstationgourmet.com. You can also, if you're going to travel, the Gas Station Vacation Map, which is actually, the whole thing is a mobile optimized website. And you go to the map and you can save it to your home screen on your phone and just pull it up. And when you do, this big map comes up and there's a knife and a fork, and you simply hit a knife and a fork, and it will take you to the gas station that you hit. There's a brief synopsis. It'll tell you if it's a restroom destination, and when you hit directions at the bottom, Google Maps will take you there. And we're also kind of rebranding, doing a little more road trip-ish stuff. I have somebody kind of retooling the whole site just to give it a lighter, more fun feel. On Facebook, of course, I'm always on Facebook. I use Facebook a lot. I use Instagram a lot. So yes, feel free to access any of those. Shoot me a message on Facebook. Shoot me a message on Instagram, and I'll answer it. Call me. I answer my phone all the time. My phone number's all over the internet. I get the craziest phone calls, but they're all good, fun phone calls. So I love that. And I love the people in this business. The people behind the counter in these C-stores, man, they make it happen, and they have a tough job. And I think what NACS does, I think what I try to do is try to help them, stay in business, get more business, do things to innovate, and to, as I always have a sense of fun in the store, because people will come back for a sense of fun.
Well, Al, I have no doubt that after you leave their store, you put a smile on their face.
Oh, you're so kind. You're so kind. Y'all are great. I'm always honored and humbled to be on the show.
And before Chris closes this and ends this episode, you really are going to the hospital.
I am. I dropped a kitchen sink on my foot and broke it. Sink safety is very important.
We'd get you to your appointment on time. So with that,
I have a crazy life.
Thank you for listening to Convenience Matters, and we hope to see all of you on your next road trip, stopping at your local convenience store. Get off the beaten path. There's a lot of cool stuff to be found. Thank you, Al, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Convenience Matters is brought to you by NACS and produced in partnership with Human Factor. For more information, visit convenience.org.